So you've applied either for the EIDL forgivable grant or the Paycheck Protection forgivable loan, and now what? Well, there's a lot of waiting game. It's going to take some patience, and it might take a little bit extra work. So I'm going to talk about what to do next as far as the EIDL, what to expect next, and then talk about what to expect next with the Paycheck Protection Program if you had applied for that. Maybe you applied for both. So I'm going to give some more context. Hopefully you'll feel a little bit better after I'm done with this video on what to expect and where to go next. With the EIDL, as we all know, the original timeline was 3 days. That was the ultimate goal in the CARES Act, and I think the government representatives really thought that this was possible, but then once it was sent to the SBA was like, what am I supposed to do with this? How am I supposed to send billions of dollars out to millions of individuals all within 3 days and make sure that they're legitimate? Because I mean, if you think about it, in theory, it sounds great to give $10,000 to everyone, but they needed some kind of criteria to base it off of need. Because, you know, let's say Jim owns a business where he sells $200 a month worth of product on eBay and is considered, you know, a sole proprietor, self-employed individual business in that specific service. And then you have someone else who owns, you know, let's say a 5-person tech company who has 5 employees and, you know, has all this payroll. You're saying that $10,000 should go to both these people the same. There was just something weird here about, you know, just sending out $10,000 to everyone with no requirement. You know, as soon as you let people just self-verify, hey, yeah, I deserve some money, of course you're going to get millions and millions and millions of applications, and you're going to just have chaos. You know, not to say that not everyone deserves it, because I think how they should have set it up is a $10,000 baseline, and then it increases based off of needs. So $10,000, you own your own business, sure, we'll give you $10,000. But if you have 10 employees, you know, maybe that's $25,000. Because at the end of the day, you know, $10,000 isn't going to do much for a 10-employee company. It's going to make a world of a difference for a 1 or 2 employee company as far as survival. And that probably would have made the process a lot quicker as well. Yeah, ultimately it'd be more money, you know, coming out of the CARES Act fund, but there's $2 trillion and only $350 billion are going to small businesses. So I think there was a little bit more wiggle room there. That's my rant there. So as far as the timeline goes, yeah, it was 3 days. I think based on what the SBA representatives are telling everyone, it's probably going to be more like 3 to 4 weeks. Some people are saying as much as 60 days. I don't see it being that long with this new electronic form, because it's fairly streamlined. I think 3 to 4 weeks before you receive the money is a good bet. Probably 10 days, you know, maybe around April 15th to 20th, you can expect an SBA representative to contact you, get some additional information, and then move the process forward. Now, if you did apply online and on your online application, there wasn't a checkbox to be considered for the $10,000 grant, up to $10,000 grant, you will have to reapply. This has been issued. You must reapply. If you didn't see that checkbox, it won't count, so then reapply. Chances are if you applied after the 31st of March, you saw that checkbox. As of right now, you won't need to reapply. I know there's been some issues with their system, but there hasn't been anything official out on whether to reapply or not after that date, just before and if you didn't see that checkbox. The documents that you might be required to send in are things like payroll to prove that you either had employees or what your income was for the year, because remember, this was a loan application with a grant attached to it. So they're going to expect you to put in all your documentation as if you want more than $10,000, even if you only want to be considered for that $10,000 part. So what might happen is you might have to apply for a full loan in order to get that grant part, and then just return the additional amount right away, depending on the situation in your business. So it might be a little bit weird there, considering if you only want to be, you know, considered for that forgivable loan part. And then remember, after that, you need to still spend that grant money on approved things. And for the EIDL, it's a little bit more flexible than the Paycheck Protection part. The approved things that you can spend it on are providing sick leave to employees or maintaining payroll in order to retain employees during business disruptions. Now, if you're a self-employed individual or sole proprietor, that does count towards your own income, which is really exciting for those who work for themselves, because I know that was something that had a ton of discrepancy on, you know, can sole proprietors even apply? The answer is yes, you can. You can also use the EIDL to meet increased costs to obtain materials that are unavailable due to interrupted supply chains with all this coronavirus chaos going on. And in order to make rent or mortgage payments, you can use the EIDL for that, and then repaying obligations that cannot be met due to revenue losses. Now that one's a little bit vague on what exactly that could be spent on. I could see some gray area there. But at the bottom line, this is going to take some fighting. You know, if you want to be one of the first people to receive funds, you're going to have to be right on top of this, have your documents ready, answer the phone, you know, when the SBA representative calls, and then just be ready in order to fill out this application if you want to get the money as quickly as possible. And then, you know, with the gray area, there might be some fighting and some wiggle room there on, you know, what you're able to exactly to attribute to this grant money. Because ultimately, if you don't spend it on approved things, this doesn't mean you can just go out on a $10,000 shopping spree or, you know, $1,000 shopping spree, depending on how much you get. It has to go on approved things because they want your business to survive and thrive. And this isn't so much free money as making the economy continue to grow. Now on to the Paycheck Protection Program. This program is slightly different than EIDL. It didn't have the promise up front of the 3-day payout. This is more like a traditional loan. And with a traditional loan, you can expect a few-week process before you really hear anything. And this is going through banks that are just getting absolutely pummeled with requests right now. So I can only imagine that this could take 3-4 weeks plus before you really hear anything back from your banks. I know I've applied 2 days ago now, and I've heard absolutely nothing from the banks that I've applied through, and that's to be expected. The best thing that you can do is make sure you sent in everything properly, have it all in order, and you know, just make their lives as easy as possible. Help them out. You know, maybe ask, hey, what can I do in order to make this process a little bit easier for you when you're talking to your banker? And my strategy here in order to get funds as quickly as possible, if you haven't already applied, is to go through a small or local bank or credit union, because banks like Wells Fargo or Chase, they have millions and millions of banking customers, and you're simply just going to be another number, and they're really not going to care whether your loan goes through or not. And actually, if you're a Wells Fargo customer, if you're watching this video right now, you're not even going to be able to apply because they stopped accepting applications already by the time of recording this video. Chase, I heard something this morning that someone wasn't able to apply, but I know their system has been on and off on whether people can apply or not. And many of these large banks are requiring that you already have a business banking account with them. So if you don't have an account with them, there's no point in trying to apply. But that's not a rule in the CARES Act or through the SBA. So your best bet there is going to be either going through a small local bank or credit union, or finding a CPA or a lawyer who can align this all up for you. And just remember that they're all getting bombarded like absolute madness from all the businesses who are applying for this. So as far as the deposit goes, when can you expect a deposit for the Paycheck Protection Program? I wouldn't expect it any quicker than a month or two, to be honest. And this could either be a direct deposit or a check, depending on what options they give you through the individual bank. It's probably just going to be a deposit into your bank account. If you are doing this through a bank, that's why they required you have a checking account through whatever bank that you're applying this through. It might be a little bit different if you're going through a CPA or a lawyer, but expect, you know, at least a month or two before you see anything. Now, after you receive that loan, remember you have an 8-week period for forgiveness. So during that 8-week period, make sure you have everything documented where this money is going in order to get the most possible forgivable expenses. 75% of the forgivable portion of this loan needs to go towards payroll, 25% can go towards other things. The forgivable things for the Paycheck Protection Program are payroll costs, payment interest on a mortgage, rent, utilities, payment of interest on any other debt incurred before February 15th, and refinancing of the SBA EIDL loan. So if you want, you can bundle the Paycheck Protection Program and the EIDL grant together so you only have one, and those can be used as far as the forgiveness period. So there's very few things that you can use paycheck protection wise in order to get that forgiveness. You can't buy more inventory, you can't go buy some supplies. There's a lot you can't do. So make sure you have proof of where this money is going if you want to get the maximum amount of forgiveness. And remember, this isn't going to be forgiven automatically. You're going to have to request this 8 weeks from now. So the best thing you can do is have immaculate records, be on top of the request for forgiveness, and have everything in order straight away so there's no hiccups, and you can potentially get this loan cleared scot-free, no interest, no additional payments. And I hope 3 months from now, I can hear some stories from you guys who are all watching where you can tell me, hey, thanks to your advice, I was able to get my loan completely forgiven. And now I got $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 of complete loan forgiveness, and it saved my business. I mean, that would be amazing if I got some stories like that. So that's all I got for now. Until next time, thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe. I would appreciate it so much, and like these videos if they helped you out. Hope you have a profitable day.